Welcome to Yin and Restorative Yoga. My name is Michelle Chua. And for this practice, you'll want to have, as you can see behind here, a bolster, a blanket, and I'm bringing over 2 blocks and a strap. Let's start in a seated position that allows you to turn open your thighs at your hips, which is called external rotation. So that's going to be a theme in our physical practice this week and today. So if you're finding that as you're sitting in some version of cross-legged, that your knees are lifting up away from the floor and comfortably, then try elevating your pelvis as high as you need to so that your pelvis can be higher than your knees, and it can help your hip flexors to relax a bit. And then another thing you could do is explore how wide apart your knees are, how close together, bringing them closer together towards hips distance apart can also be easier on the hips. So see what your hips are asking for to begin this physical practice. So here we are on for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, in our last week of summer 2023, with the fall equinox happening on Friday. So I wrote down a few short reflections about it. In this fast information age, getting somewhere known is often more valued than the uncertainty of the unfolding or the experiences of the moment to moment of getting there. But what if we looked at uncertainty and the present moment as the place where all possibilities exist, pure potential? Might we then bring more loving awareness to the transitions themselves and not just when we've so-called arrived? Yoga, which means union, teaches that all is interconnected. And as our natural world transitions seasons, I invite you to take notice of the ways you experience the transition in your body, your energy, your mind, everything. How are you attuning to the seasons shifting within you? And that's my invitation for a focus in today's practice and throughout the practices this week as we near the equinox. Let's start by assessing with what's on your plate right now as you still the body in a comfortable, upright position. Maybe close the eyes, maybe even rest a hand gently on your heart center at the middle of the chest and just below your belly button towards your sacral energy center. Tuning into any sensations you're feeling in your body right now. Tuning into your breathing just as it is. And through the breath, observing your energy at this moment. And then listening to your heart. Noticing if there are any emotions to hold space for. Observing your mind and noticing how you feel mentally. Then welcome a deeper breath into your nose. Exhaling slowly through your mouth. Inhaling a little deeper. And exhaling completely. As you keep on lengthening your breath, I invite you to notice in this moment right now, what is something you appreciate? We know the power of gratitude to almost instantaneously shift our perspective. knowing that what we focus on expands. Who would you like to focus on today? In the seasonal transition, how would you like to set the tone? Take a moment to define your intention for today's practice. And with that, I invite you to bring attention to how you are experiencing this seasonal transition right now. And in the practice, how you experience the transitions between postures and that exists within the posture itself. As we remind ourselves of our interconnectedness, I invite you to also choose somebody to dedicate your practice to today, including them in the recipients of what you're cultivating through showing up here. And with that, let's set our intentions and dedications while creating resonance as we share our practice together by chanting Om 3 times. Let's begin the breathing technique called Ujjayi Pranayama, which helps to invite focus, calm, and balance to our energy. It's done by closing your lips and softly narrowing the back of your throat to create a gentle whispering sound. Listen to that sound as you're sitting still now, and fine-tune the qualities of balance as you're lengthening the in-breath as slowly as the out-breath, all through the nose, creating an ocean wave sound. And take your time to feel the very top of the in-breath, the very bottom of the out-breath, and even bringing a careful attention to the sound you hear as you transition between the in and out breaths. As transitions, mindful transitions is our theme today. So as you listen to the breath some more, I invite you to switch the cross of your legs, whatever shin is forward or on top. Let's begin to move the whole spine with a focus in the pelvis. As I mentioned, hip openers is a focus of our practice today. So sit tall, relax your shoulders, root the bones at the bottom of your pelvis, and begin to sway your torso to one side as you breathe in, shifting forward to the other side as you breathe out, leaning back. Continuing several more circles in this direction as you let your breath guide the way. Notice any sensations you're feeling as you're doing this. Switch directions. And let's continue moving in the area of the pelvis, coming down onto our backs. As you lie on your back, step your feet apart on the floor with your knees bent and separate your knees as wide apart as your feet. And that's about wider than hips distance apart. Move any props that might be in the way of your legs sideways, and let's start to windshield wiper the legs while keeping the feet as they or where they are. Inhale, drop your knees slowly to the right. Exhale slowly to the left. Now see if you can let the breath lead. So initiate with the inhalation. Continue for the whole length of the breath, dropping your knees to the right so that you time the knees falling with the very end of the breath, and then the other side. Continue on your own for about 3 more cycles of breath. As you let your mind rest on the sound rhythm you're creating through your breathing, notice how it feels. One more cycle of breath. Then come back through center and bend your right knee into your chest. Take hold of your right thigh or shin with 2 hands and slide your left leg forward on the ground. As you hug your right thigh towards the right side of your rib cage, ground the backs of your shoulders and lengthen through your neck. Let's start to circle the right foot a few times at the ankle. Once again, to the pace of your breath. Treat these small movements as vinyasa flows, breath-led movements, and then go in the opposite direction. Slide your right leg to the ground and bend your left knee into your chest. Start to circle your left foot a few times in each direction, sliding your left thigh more to the left side of your rib cage. This time, bend both knees into your chest and take hold of your bent knees with your hands. And as you breathe in, slowly rotate your thighs away from each other. That's abduction. And as you breathe out, draw your thighs towards your midline. That's adduction. Inhale as you abduct the thighs, and exhale as you adduct. And then switch it up for several more cycles of breath. Paying attention to the sensations all around your pelvis. Notice how your thighs can move in so many different directions at your hip sockets. So when I say hip openers, that actually just means all different directions that you can move the thighs at the hips. But to be more specific, we're going to be focused on external rotation, turning out the thighs. So let's do that now as you turn out both thighs, lift the soles of your feet, and come into happy baby with your arms between your thighs, cross your forearms in front of your shins, and either hold your outer ankles or outer feet. Grounding your shoulders and your tailbone, splay your thighs apart and parallel your feet to each other as the soles face the sky. Breath by breath, draw your knees downward towards the ground outside of your rib cage. What are you sensing here in your body? Feeling into the area of the groins, the inner thighs, the outer hips, the glutes, the lower back. So we're focusing on hip openers today, as that is the region of your sacral energy center. And as I talk about change and flowing with the transitions of the seasons, our sacral energy, when energy is flowing in balance there, we can experience an ability to be flexible adaptable with the unexpected that may arise. It also involves our ability to play and to be spontaneous and to be in tune with our sensual experience of the physical world. It's also our sexuality. So now let's draw the bent knees together and begin to rock and roll forward and back along the length of your spine. Couple more cycles of breath of this before you rise forward and make your way into tabletop. Planting your hands at the top of your mat and stacking your shoulders above your wrists while stepping your knees a couple of inches behind your hips. Now let's bring the spine into movement of flexion and extension as we tilt the pelvis forward and back. Breathing in, glide your torso forward, roll your shoulders behind you, and then tilt your chest up, cow pose. Breathing out, keep your arms straight as you press the ground with your hands and contract your belly, dropping your head to round the back, cat pose. Again, as you breathe in to roll the shoulders back, feel your pelvis tilt forward. As you breathe out to contract your abdomen, feel your pelvis tilt back. Bring more attention into the feelings around your pelvis as you continue another 3 to 5 cycles of cat, cow, Virasana. In both movements of the pelvis, can you invite your lower spine to lengthen from the pelvis, whether you're arching or rounding the back? Now with your next exhalation, tuck your toes and lift your hips high, press your hips back, entering downward facing dog. Spend a few breaths pedaling your feet in place, maybe swiveling your hips left and right as you do that. Any kind of movement that your body needs to loosen up. Now begin to find stillness as you press your chest back towards your shins, rotate your triceps or outer upper arms towards the floor, softening your neck as you firmen the belly, pressing the fronts of your thigh bones back and sinking your heels deeper and deeper towards the ground. Land your gaze on one point and tune into 2 more deep breaths here in Adho Mukha Svanasana. When you've emptied the next breath, walk to the top of your mat into a forward fold, separating your feet hips distance apart, parallel to each other. Feel free to bend your knees any amount, allows you to feel the full length of your spine so you're not rounding your back. Then either press your fingertips on your shins, blocks in front of your feet, or the ground itself. Pressing with your hands, inhale, stretch the top of your head forward, elongating your spine parallel to the floor. This is half forward fold. Exhale, bow towards your legs, forward fold. Again, listen to your breath. Inhale, press with your hands and lengthen your spine forward into Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold, Uttanasana. Press down to your feet. Inhale, sweep your arms forward, slowly rising all the way up. Gently coiling your chest up in Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, join your hands to meet from the crown of your head to your heart center. Let's prepare to flow through 2 rounds of Sun Salutation C, Surya Namaskar C. So come back to the feeling of your intention. Let's bring that into the transitions of between the postures. As we literally say thank you to the sun. Inhale, sweep your arms overhead, tilt your heart towards the sun. Exhale, bow towards the earth, hinging from your hips. Plant your fingertips on the ground. Inhale, step your left knee behind you to a kneeling lunge and gaze up. Holding your breath, step into the top of a push-up, plank pose. Now, as you exhale, first lower your knees, then lower your chest, then lower your chin, Ashtangasana. As you inhale, slither forward onto your belly and roll the shoulders back to Cobra. As you exhale, tuck your toes and lift your hips back into downward facing dog. Inhale, step your left foot forward beside your left thumb. Lower your right knee and gaze up. Exhale, step your right foot forward and fold. From down to your feet, inhale, rise to the breath, tilting your heart towards the sun. Exhale, marry your palms at your heart center. One more time, second side, inhale, sweep the arms up in Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, bow forward in Uttanasana. Plant your fingertips. Inhale, step the right knee back, Anjaneyasana. Holding your breath, step into plank pose. Exhale, Ashtangasana, lower knees, chest, then chin. Inhale, Bhujangasana, Cobra, slither forward, draw the shoulders back. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Inhale, step your right foot beside your right thumb, lower your left knee and gaze up. Exhale, step your left foot forward and bow. Rooting down, inhale, rise. Exhale, join your palms together at your heart. Let a hand rest at your heart center, hand rest on your lower belly. Tune into 3 slow breaths. How is your body responding to these transitions between postures? And then from here, step your feet apart a little wider than hips distance. Now, actually, there's several options here. We're going to come into a squat. So depending on the health of your knees, your lower back, you can start here with the feet even wider so that as you turn out the legs from the hips and bend the knees will stack just above the ankles. They're not bending beyond the ankles. Here's more of a horse stance. You can be here. Otherwise, if it feels comfortable enough, you can also stack your blocks, maybe even a pillow and a block, make it as high as you need so you're sitting on a stool where you turn out the thighs and take a seated squat. Another version is to hover your pelvis off the ground if this is appropriate in your body, and use your elbows to splay the inner thighs apart, in which you can then bring your hands in prayer. Let the shoulders drop back. Whichever position of squatting or malasana you're choosing, lengthen your spine, direct the tailbone down. Slightly lift your frontal hip bones, lengthen through the back of your skull, and let your shoulders relax for 3 more deep breaths. You might imagine tracing the in-breath from the bottom of your spine to the crown of your head, moving through your 7 main energy centers or chakras. And as you exhale from the crown down to the base of your spine. And then from here, start to lower again onto your back. Bend your knees, step your feet on the floor about hips width apart. Now from your right hip socket, externally rotate your right thigh bone at the hip and flexing your right foot, cross your right ankle onto your left thigh like a figure 4 shape. Keep your left foot on the ground, keep your right foot flexed to stabilize your right knee, and with your right hand, gently press away the top of your inner right thigh to help splay open the thigh so that your right knee is pointing towards your right wall, not towards your face. Now, counterbalance your weight with the left side of your pelvis rooting into the ground, relaxing the shoulders. Notice any sensations around your right hip. Sense if your body's wanting to stay here longer. Otherwise, to change it up, come into thread the needle, where you thread your right hand between your thighs, and with two hands, you hold your left thigh or your left shin, and then you slowly bring the left leg towards you while using the right arm to gently nudge your right thigh to keep splaying open, so that right knee is pointing towards the right wall, not towards your face. Let the head and shoulders relax. Continue to flex your right foot where you can see the right toes curling back towards the right shin. Now let's listen to another 5 slow, balanced in and out breaths. And then step both feet onto the ground and just pause for a cycle of breath or two. Do you notice any difference along the right or the left hip? Now from the left hip socket, externally rotate the left thigh, flexing your left foot to stabilize the left knee, cross the left ankle over the right thigh, and just stay here. Keep the right foot on the ground with your left hand, gently press away the top inner left thigh to splay the thigh open. Make sure you're not pressing your knee. You're pressing close to the hip. So you're inviting the left knee to point open to the left wall, grounding the back of your right hip at the same time. What are you feeling here along the left side of your hips? Is your body asking you to stay in this position or to switch into thread the needle? If the latter, thread your left hand between your thighs, and with two hands either hold your right thigh or your right shin and gradually bring the right leg closer, breath by breath, while the left arm nudges the left thigh to keep splaying open, still flexing your left foot here. Let's tune into 5 more full breaths. This time, uncrossing the legs, let's go ahead and step both feet on the ground again, pausing for a couple of breaths and just noticing whatever there is to notice. Draw your bent knees together again into your chest, and this time rock a little side to side. Can you feel how the weight transitions across your lower back as you shift side to side? Bringing that awareness into the details of your experience in between poses, in between the so-called destinations. Turn all the way over to one side And then start to lift your torso up. Come on down to hands and knees. And from hands and knees, step your right foot forward to the right side of your right hand, entering lizard lunge. See that your right knee is not bending in front of your right ankle, but it's directly above the ankle. And from here, first, notice if it's helpful to place your hands on blocks. Remember, you could adjust the height of the blocks so that they're right under your shoulders, where your shoulders can relax and you can breathe well. Some of you might find it completely fine to have hands on the floor. Now in this version, we're going to open up a little more into the IT band, which is the outer right thigh region. So flex your right foot again to stabilize the right knee and gently begin to splay your right thigh open until you lean the knife outer edge of your right foot on the floor, not this, which is sickling the foot, rolling over the ankle, not that. Just flexing, leaning on the edge of the foot. And then as you're gently drawing your right outer hip back, lengthen your chest forward. For some of you, you might be open in the hips to lower down onto your forearms, not forcing anything, but just having a conversation with your body, listening to how it's letting you know. For some of you, you might scoot your left knee slightly back and bend it. And if it's reachable without straining, you could backstroke your right arm and take hold of the left foot with your right hand and gently bring it towards your glutes. Now make sure that your shoulders are away from your neck. You have open energy flow around your neck, shoulders, your jaw is relaxed. The jaw is very connected to the pelvis. So notice if there's any tension, either one reflecting upon the other. And now let's be here for another 8 deep breaths. And when you're ready, slowly begin to release the left leg if it's bent. Come back into a kneeling lunge and walk the right foot to the inside of your right hand as we prepare for single pigeon pose. Now, it might be helpful to have your hands each propped on a block where the blocks are right alongside your hips. So you have a lot more control over your balance as you're beginning to slide your right ankle towards your left hip, dropping your right thigh open so that your right knee is splaying open towards the right wall, not towards the front edge of the mat. So with your hands alongside the hips, lift the pelvis and tack your right outer hip back. Rotate your left outer hip forward until both frontal hip bones are equally facing the front of your mat. Now, if you find that there's a gap between your right glute and the ground, fill that gap with any of your props, such as a folded blanket. And then from here, if you find that your right shin comfortably parallels the front edge of your mat, make sure that you're flexing your right foot again to stabilize the knee. Lifting your chest, allow deep, full in breath. And then little by little, start to fold forward. Now, some of you might feel like keeping your torso upright is plenty of sensations happening in your right hip. You can stay here. Otherwise, you could use your props in any creative way, such as creating an incline out of 2 blocks beneath the farthest end of a pillow. So the pillow slants down towards the front of your pelvis. And then you can bear hug it while leaning one ear onto the pillow like this. So find your version of being as relaxed and effortless as possible in single pigeon. And I'm going to watch the clock for another 2 minutes of stillness in this pose. You watch your breath. Now slowly start to press your hands into the ground. Really be mindful of how you're transitioning. We're not rushing to get out of the pose, but taking it breath by breath, feeling into how the sensations in your body may shift as you're slowly coming out of single pigeon pose and into child's pose. Bringing the inner edges of your feet together to touch, knees together or apart. Sink your hips back to your heels, rest your forehead down. Feel free to place a prop under your forehead if that makes it easier for you. And rest your arms wherever it's comfortable, forward, down by your sides. Let's tune into 5 breaths as you're noticing what you're feeling in your body here. And once again, little by little begin to rock forward onto tabletop pose from child's pose. Notice how your body shifts, breath by breath. Bring mindfulness into your transition. So we're not just trying to get from one place to another. We're really bringing mindfulness into the quality of our experience as we're getting there. When you arrive in tabletop, step your left foot slowly to the left side of your left hand. Kneeling lizard lunge. Make sure your left knee is directly above the ankle. And then again, see if your body would like you to have blocks under your hands here for more comfortable breathing and balance, or hands on the floor. Then flex your left foot, curl the toes up towards the shin, and splay your left thigh open just enough to lean the knife outer edge of your left foot on the floor without sickling the foot and collapsing onto the outer ankle. Draw your left outer hip back as you extend your chest forward. And for those of you that it might be comfortable to do so, you might lower to your forearms. You might add bending your right knee and scooting it back, backstroking the left arm to catch hold of the right foot, and bringing the right foot towards you little by little. If you are taking hold of the right foot, make sure that your right knee is slid back enough so that your weight is not resting on your kneecap. Your weight is resting on the front of your right thigh. Let both shoulders ease away from the neck. Plug the shoulder bones in their sockets. And now let's tune into 8 more deep breaths. Slowly begin to place your hands on blocks of the floor, to step the left foot flat on the ground and walk it into the inside of your left hand. So you're now in a kneeling lunge. From here, you might find it helpful to have your hands on blocks with your hands really close to your outer hips. As we prepare for single pigeon pose, where you slide your left ankle towards your right hip and drop slowly your left thigh open so that your left knee is pointing to the left wall, not towards the front wall. And then tucking the right toes just to help you square the hips. With hands alongside your hips, lift your pelvis off the ground. Draw your left outer hip back and rotate your right outer hip forward until your 2 frontal hip bones equally face the front of your mat. And then you can relax the right toes. Notice if it's helpful to place a prop under your left glute if there's a gap between it and the ground. And then with your hands in front of your left shin, inhale to lift the chest, stay here, or make any configuration of props to support your torso as you lean forward. And remember, if your left shin comfortably parallels the front edge of your mat, make sure that you are flexing your left foot the entire time in this pose to stabilize your left knee. So setting up any props to be able to, as effortlessly as possible, be still in this pose. I'll watch the time for 2 minutes. Once again, I invite you to rest your awareness on the sound of your breathing. Now, as you're feeling into your body here, make your transition as slow and attentive as possible. Easing your way up and off the props if you're using any. Sensing the breath as you slide your left leg back and re-enter Balasana, child's pose. Tuning into 5 deep breaths here in child's pose. And start to press your hands into the ground, and with a slow in-breath, feel the sensations along your spine as you roll it up to sit upright. Let's bring the legs out in front. And just to help bring balance to our hip region, we've been doing a lot of splaying the thighs open and external rotation. Let's do a little bit of the opposite as we bring our physical practice to a close. So preparing for a seated spinal twist, extend your left leg forward. And if it allows you to sit up tall, and you could also sit on a folded blanket, as that may help, cross your right foot outside of your left knee. Hold on to your right shin with both hands and press the bony parts at the bottom of your pelvis, your 2 sitting bones, equally down, and lift up from the pelvic floor, up through each vertebra, up through the back of your skull. Relax the shoulders. You can help to flex the left foot here. Now you can keep the left leg straight or bend the left knee as well. Place the right hand on the floor behind the pelvis. And as you press the pelvis down, keep lifting up through your spine as you inhale. Now, as you exhale, let your rib cage rotate to the right. Inhale, root down, rise up. Exhale, gently let the rib cage rotate. Now you could hold your right leg with the left hand or hook the elbow outside the thigh, but keep relaxing your shoulders. Make sure your throat is open. Breath can flow freely for about 5 more breaths. As you empty the breath, release both legs straight. And sit up tall for a couple of breaths. Just let your body unwind from that twist. Now bending your left knee, step your left foot on the ground. And if it allows you to still sit tall, equally weighted on the left and right hip, cross the left foot outside of your right knee. Step the foot flat into the floor, so as you hold your left shin with both hands, you can really sit up tall. Now choose to keep the right leg straight, flexing the right foot, or bend the right knee too. Place your left hand behind your pelvis, press into the ground, lift from your pelvic floor through your crown as you inhale. Then allow your ribcage to turn to the left as you exhale. Little by little, you might also choose to hook the right elbow outside the thigh or not. 5 breaths. With an exhalation, unwind your spine, and again, stretch the legs in front of you. This time preparing for Paschimottanasana, seated forward fold. So rooting your sitting bones down, you might find it helpful to move the flesh aside a bit with your hands manually. And then separate your feet hips distance, flexing the feet, press the insteps forward to help roll your inner thighs slightly towards the ground. This gives the lower back some traction and additional support as we're bowing in. So as you sit tall, breathe in, roll the shoulders back, keep the throat open, and then slightly engage the abdomen so that as you're exhaling to hinge just a little bit of your range from the hips, you can feel a little lift in the chest. Shoulders are relaxed away from the neck. Then continue to fold, walking your hands down the backs of your legs, or maybe holding a strap around the balls of your feet, or maybe clasping your big toes. As you breathe in, press the pelvis down, lift up half of the way you've gone, and then draw the shoulder heads back and down. Keep a slight lift in your chest as you firm in the belly, and then continue to bow for 5 more breaths. And pressing down through your sitting bones, as you inhale, start to rise from the heart center, lifting the chest, come up. Now, please find a comfortable way to sit. Maybe hero's pose, which will take us out of the external rotation and just find some neutrality in the thighs at the hips. And in hero's pose, you could either sit on a block between your ankles or directly on your calves. Choose a way that you can sit for a while as we practice alternate nostril breathing. Our last pranayama before we prepare for corpse pose and meditation. So sitting tall, relaxed. For Nodi Shodhana Pranayama, which helps to balance our energies and tune deeper inward, cultivating a strength of relationship with our intuition. You might close the eyes as we're practicing and focus your gaze inward towards your third eye center, your intuitive energy center, towards the center of your brain, Ajna Chakra. Let your left hand rest on your lap. You might place it in Gyan Mudra, thumb and index finger touching, palm face up, which is a mudra that cultivates inward, deeper focus. The right hand is placed in Vishnu Mudra, where you stick out your thumb, pinky, and ring fingers. As you close your lips, continue to breathe very softly and slowly through the nose, no longer creating that whispering sound of ujjayi breath. We'll be using the right thumb to close the right nostril like this, and the right and ring and pinky fingers to close the left nostril like this. Alternate nostril breathing, Nodi Shodhana Pranayama. So let's practice 3 cycles of it together and then 2 cycles on your own before we let go of controlling the breath. Prepare to begin by emptying this breath. With right thumb, close your right nostril, inhale through left. Hold your breath in. Close left nostril, exhale through right. Hold the breath. Inhale through right. Hold. Close right. Exhale through left. Hold. Second cycle, inhale left. Hold. Close left. Exhale right. Hold. Inhale right. Hold. Close right. Exhale left. Hold. Third cycle, inhale left. Hold. Close left. Exhale right. Hold. Inhale right. Hold. Close right. Exhale left. Hold. Continue 2 more cycles on your own. Take your time to finish at your pace. And when you do finish, let go of controlling the breath. Observe anything you're feeling. And as you're ready, slowly begin to lower your body onto the ground, finding a way to lie down, placing your body in stillness for a few minutes of shavasana. Closing your eyes, you might rest your palms face up, slightly away from your sides. Let your shoulders rest down into the floor, away from the neck. Feel the area of your pelvis, your hips. Consciously relax the muscles all around the hips, your inner and outer thighs, your glutes, your pelvic floor, your lower abdomen. Allow your pelvis, the bones, to sink with gravity. We'll be here for a few minutes. As you rest here a little longer, bring your attention back to your physical body and sense how you're feeling physically now. Ask your body how it wants to begin moving out of stillness and respond with gentle, easeful motion. Notice how you're transitioning here and how it feels to come out of stillness. Taking your time to eventually turn over onto your right side and rest your head. As you lie on your side for a few moments, observe the quality of your breath. And notice how you feel now energetically. As you're ready, start to rise. Find a comfortable way to sit for 5 minutes in meditation. You might again place your hands in Gyan Mudra. Close the eyes or steady a gentle downcast gaze. Let's begin. If you find your attention wandering, you might rest it gently on the breath, where you can feel the natural breath moving in your body. Notice how you're feeling now, both mentally and emotionally. And you might join your hands at your heart center, a gesturing union, as you acknowledge anything in this present moment that you can offer gratitude for. And then return to your intention. Say it once again to yourself. Come back to whom you dedicated your practice to. And together, let's close like we began, chanting Om 3 times. Feel the resonance of the sound that you're both emitting and sharing out into the world and integrating into the cells of your body. Deep breath in. Bowing in, recognize the light within. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.